Sunday morning, I put on some decals to the little Meg, including a couple of tattoos. Now, for those of you that are slightly sharp-eyed, you'll notice that that red arrow is actually familiar, and it is off a Meg. It's off the Meg 3. So anyway, there we go. It's a little bit of an interesting look to the Meg for a very, very, very simple build. And I'll keep that because I'll quite likely build one of the better Meg 15s and then put it next to that for progression. I like to sort of see those progression looks. There's the lightning sprayed black. Now on the underside, although it looks quite black at the moment, I sprayed quite lightly over the silver. One of you suggested I keep the silver. Yes, good suggestion, but the amount of masking to actually achieve that, so it's almost better I just hand paint the silver afterwards again. Now that is L-clad gloss black base, because I just absolutely can never keep gloss black hum rolls. You know, once you've opened them and used them a few times. Now, I mean, it's not as bad as I make it out, but it's certainly worse than about any other color. Gloss black, matte black, gloss white, just get used up so fast. But this L-clad is actually not bad at all. And so that'll sort of count as the base and the gloss all in one, so I don't need another coat. Did spray it sort of fairly thickly, and it took a bit to cover the differentiation between that green and white, sort of a high contrast look. But anyway, so I can start the sanding. So not much to look at the moment, but we will gradually improve that look, and it'll get a gloss coat after the sanding. I might use the L-clad gloss clear, because I do have a bottle of that, and I don't commonly use that, rather than the floor wax. Doesn't really matter which one. And then start doing decals. Oh, I forgot to bring out the Matchbox decals, which I have. Again, have that thing where the paper appears to have gotten severely damp, and it's questionable whether it'll be usable. So I might try it just for the experimentation of trying to salvage old decals. I wouldn't mind getting the a Matchbox set onto there, but I have others which I did show in the video. Someone asked which Thunder Streak I got. It's still en route. I don't have it here yet. It's the Kinetic. Now, I'm slightly unsure about whether it's a Kinetic original mold. ScaleMate seems to indicate that it is. And then it got boxed as well by Italeri, possibly. I did check that, and then another reboxing by Kinetic and another one. But it's a somewhat recent mold, and interesting features. Not going to say it's the best by any means, but it looks like a nice one. We'll have a good look at it when it gets here. Now, not that I'm really getting into the early jets, but I'm very much into the Vampire, that's for sure. And we've already talked about this one and the FX one. And, you know, if I'm going to be putting some energy into the 1/72nd Vampires, which I am, then I really would also like to have a good 1/48th or two. And we've looked at this. We've looked at this kit, and a very nice decal set actually. And you know, we've talked about its faults, and I had to look at it again. This was the one where I'd started scribing off I'd started scribing off the aileron and we wanted to redo the tips. Now if I do that, now suddenly the visual, I don't know quite how to put that. If I show you those tips, this really doesn't look good, the rear parts of the tips. And if you built a vampire like that, it just has an unpleasant appeal. Just those little curves, which shouldn't be there. And if I cover it up like that, suddenly you start thinking again, well, this could actually be made into a very nice vampire, and it can. So I'm having a look at it again and trying to see, and it's just that bit of curve on the aileron and a little bit of change to the tip. So rather than actually scribing them off, I'm going to rethink and still try and build this into a very, very nice model, even if it has a couple of shape issues. Scribing off would have caused, would allow me to fix the problem, but probably cause too many alternate problems. And that's always the thing. Changing one problem for another problem is a valid method, as long as the new problems are very much less. So what I'm going to do now is think about how I can change that tip. The aileron absolutely needs changing, and the tip needs a minimal amount of changing, not with filler alone. So I'm going to think about how I can do that. I've taken off the tanks, which I don't want to use, and I will just show you. It's really not a all that big box, and after I've taken off the wing and fuselage pieces, this is really a build that you can get into very easily. I'm going to start doing the cockpit, probably gluing these tail booms together, and focusing on how I can fix those tips so that we can actually get a very, very nice model out of this, which I think we can. And then we can move to the Airfix one after that, because this is not a difficult model. It's got some annoyances, like another one is this. That's been molded closed, and the method of opening it, well, that's one gone. I'll have to dig that out just now. The method of opening that is because this is such a tapered little thing, it's not easy to hold. Opening that is possible, but I'll have to think about that as well. I'd like it open actually, because that's fairly important. Not sure about undercarriage up or down. It's very easy to get a lot of nose weight into that big nose, so we can get a stance on this, which will not require a tail pole. I mean, it's probably worth putting on its undercarriage, I guess. There's no reason not to. It would look nice with a nice clean look as well. And if I've got the Airfix one coming up soon, do I want both on the undercarriage? Maybe. I mean, it is a very nice clean look in flight and standing. I won't plan to close it up just yet. I'll plan as if I'm going to do it with undercarriage and plan for the nose weight. So I can do the wheel halves, clean up parts in general, start on the cockpit. Of these schemes, possibly that one. So you see now, that's interesting. That box art shows those as white based, but what you've been given is blue back little lightning strikes. here they're sort of light blue. I guess that artwork was intended to look light blue, but it looks more white. There's nothing wrong with this one either. So to be honest, two schemes that are quite acceptable. I am slightly tilted towards a metal finish, which will allow me to do some interesting things. So that one has got a lot of appeal as well. A very nice surface detail on this trumpeter kit. Now again, you know, for a build like this, we're not too worried about whether it's absolutely accurate and all of that. But if I can improve it from this blemished wing shape to a good wing shape, then I think we already have a very, very nice look. And I can do an oil wash, an oil weathering into all of the recesses, which could make it look very, very interesting. I can even try something new on the I'm not sure that we want to go, you know, that aged on the thing. I don't, but we can think about something that gives a little bit of a tarnished metal look. I'd like to try that. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, sort of 7 pieces to the cockpit. Actually very, very simple aircraft to build. And considering I'm not putting on the tanks, I mean, this is only slightly more complicated than the 1/72nd, a few more cockpit parts, and for the rest it's just a bigger version. Yeah, I suppose I should put it on its undercarriage. So the nose bay and the main gear bays well, there's one can spice that up, certainly. One can definitely do something interesting with that. I'll have to go and look at the real one. I do remember the real one is not significantly detailed in what you view from there. And the nose bay's got a bit more to it. It's built out of 3 parts. There's one of the side parts. And cockpit sides. There's the sort of the base of the cockpit. The one thing about the cockpit sides is that they tilt in at quite an angle, so your view from above after the fact is, you know, it's there's just about hardly much view for you to see much there. But still, we'll do it nicely. Seat is okay. So because I'm not really going to be looking at any other 148 vampires except the 2 that I have, and my last video I'd said, oh, I'm just going to build this. I got annoyed with it and I wasn't going to do the trim offs. Changed my mind. I want to try and do the best that I can, but with less hacking and cutting off than what I'd originally planned, because I don't think that's necessary. And really what's been provided here is quite an acceptable model. Oh, and then we've also got the common decals. Yes. So we've got those. Instrument panel. Now, this is certainly a candidate for not using that decal, but using a print, a color print of the cockpit, of the instrument panel. I would have said cockpit sides as well, but you're hardly going to see anything with the angle that it's presented at. So I will slowly start putting those pieces together and working on those tips. And it definitely is worth having a nice 1/48 Vampire if I'm going to have the nice 1/48 Thunder Streak. You know, sort of, not that they're really a direct comparison, but they're within a close enough era, and it's one of the sort of most widespread early British jets and an important American early jet. I wouldn't say one of the most important. Not sure exactly. You can give your opinions. Well, let's ask that. How much more important would the Thunder Jet be than the Thunder Streak, if at all? And if not the Thunder Jet, then what earlier US jet would be slightly more comparable? Or is that it, Thunder Jet and Thunder Streak? Oh, the B1, by the way, just to remind those of you that have not watched earlier videos, the Airfix, which is the one that I'm busy on at the moment, is the lesser of the two, the lesser quality. And this Monogram B1, which I was lucky enough to find, is definitely the better of the two. And I had forgotten when I showed you this decal set in the last video, which is the decal set from this one, is not the one I'm going to be using, because I'd forgotten that when I got it, someone had got a very, very good top-notch decal set with very much better stuff. And this one will be done in grey. Very nice little booklet and decals. This one will be done in grey. And if you haven't, you can go and watch a little bit of a look at this B1. But if you're in the market for a B1, this is the one to try and get. This one has got recessed panel lines on the wings, raised lines on the fuselage, very fine lines, very nicely done. And this is the one I'll be doing undercarriage down. It does have nicely molded undercarriage. So once the other B1, and I'm not rushing the other B1 just to get to this one. This one will also be done with stores. It's a whole bunch of cruise missiles. So this is the one where we will certainly be doing a more careful build. That's not to say I'm not doing a careful build on the Airfix, but the more important goal on the Airfix one is just to actually achieve a nice completion using making life easy by not having the undercarriage. Not having undercarriage down. The decal set is not bad, can't complain about that. But surface detail wise and surface quality, it's definitely inferior to this one by a long shot. Okay, I'm going to go and now start doing the sanding. Now the most obvious thing is that I go through the black in areas where I didn't want to go through the black. What will I do if I do that? I mean, you can slightly touch up, but I don't really want to. Let's discuss it when such happens. So I'm going to try and be careful and really not go through. Because it's not that important, I suppose if worst comes to worst, we just respray it black and not worry about the panel lines. The nice thing about this particular Alclad black is it dries much, much faster. So that's already good to go there. Okay, we shall have a look in the next video. Cheers. Happy modeling.